Good morning. I'm Dr. Nidhi Gupta. I'm a pediatric endocrinologist and a digital wellness coach in Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome to INSPINAR. Today, we are going to explore if it is even possible to escape the online world. My guest on INSPINAR today is Eric Bourgault. He is the founder of Detox. He is a wellness coach and a consultant specialized in digital detox experiences. As an early pioneer of the digital detox movement and a recovered dopamine screen junkie himself, Eric has been trailblazing new integrative wellness concepts all over the world for almost 2 decades now. Eric, welcome to INSPINAR.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be part of INSPINAR. And I really hope that I will inspire people and show them that it's possible, that it is really possible to detox from this world of digital distractions.
Absolutely. Eric, let's go back almost 15 some years when you were yourself struggling with screen addiction and you were almost on the edge of a nervous breakdown back in 2018. I'm curious, on behalf of our listeners, what led you to realize that the screens and the dopamine from the screens might actually be impacting your health, not just physical health, but mental health as well? What was that journey like?
Well, if I look back at the amount of excuses that I gave to people around me just to binge on that thing, and again, we're talking about 2008, before the arrival of the smartphone, before social media, and yet it was very addictive. So I would easily skip any types of programs or activities to spend more times on it. And back then, it was impossible to carry that with you. So you had to find a place to sit down in front of a computer and get your intake of dopamine rush.
And now we carry our dopamine around in our hands, in our pockets, in our handbags, on our car's dashboard, while we are driving, while we are working, while we are on vacation, while we are in the bathroom, in the toilet, pretty much everywhere. There is a constant
even when
stream.
We have sex, right? No, I'm dead serious here. If you talk to any specialist and you ask them, it's proven, right, that even when people commit, they still have access to their phone, and it's totally normal. So the problem here that we're facing today, Nidhi, is that it is so engraved into what we call the new normal that anything else that is different from it seems to be dysfunctional. It seems to be weird to take some time off from your phone, where in fact it should be as it is when you finish eating a meal. You go and you brush your teeth.
I think if I go sit in a cafeteria with a book without any devices around me and occasionally look up to make eye contact with people, there is a chance people might think I'm a psychopath.
Oh, big time. You will be labeled right away. It's so strange nowadays, right? And I really invite people who are joining us today to take a good look in their own life as we speak and the life of others. Take an example. When you take the bus or you take the metro, how often can you establish an eye contact? That itself is so important, right? That's what we need. We're social creatures. We need that. And yet the last thing that we do is to establish that kind of eye contact. Instead, we focus on what? On our phone that is supposed to make us feel connected. But in fact, and it's a living conundrum. It creates the opposite.
Since 2008, Eric, when you first started your own journey, screens have become way more omnipresent than you would have ever imagined. And the first smartphone, a properly functioning smartphone, was launched in 2009. So as a digital wellness coach, do you feel that digital wellness is actually an uphill battle? Do you think we have already lost it? Is there any hope?
Tell you what, I'm gonna surprise some people because I'm here to kick some ass, and I will be polite, but I'm not gonna try to play play small. I think that the problem that we have when it comes to digital wellness is that there's more and more coaches, more and more people that show some interest for this work, but we are all working remotely and separately. So this kind of silo mentality doesn't bring results that we're looking for in the open. And the only way for people to understand the value of our work is if we put it to the test, if it becomes a daily practice. And unfortunately, for what I have seen, because I went there in person to meet these guys, is that many people are seduced by the idea that, oh, I can make some extra money. Let's be a digital wellness coach. No offense for those that are coaches or do that kind of work. But the point is, if you don't put it in practice in your life, how are you supposed to understand your clients? How are you supposed to come with something that is meant to be realistic and applicable? The problem that we have at the moment is that we're trying to change the new normal, but we all work differently and out of reach from each other. So that itself, if we can just work that part, I think we could definitely start to create some results.
So what I'm hearing is that it's important for digital wellness coaches to walk the talk. And it doesn't always,
yes.
It doesn't come naturally to a lot of coaches out there. What are your suggestions, Eric, as a digital wellness coach, as the founder of DigiPause, that might help us humans to continue to maintain our humanity and not entirely digitalize our souls? Our life is already so highly digitalized. How can we keep our souls from getting digitalized?
I think that what's most important here is to first admit and recognize, like any other addictions, that we're disconnected, that we are at the mercy of all of the stimulations that are coming from this machine, this device, and it was meant to be like that. It's on purpose. And when we do that is to say, okay, now if it doesn't work, and if I feel so addicted to that thing, well, then I need to look for another place that will provide me the opposite. And that's a wellness by design. And you can only understand a wellness by design if you apply it. And the only places to apply it is in nature. Because nature doesn't care. Nature is egoless. Nature doesn't have any agenda. Nature will never try to sell you something. You don't say like, oh, look at this tree. This tree is so full of itself. And no, it's just a tree, period. It helped us get back and really grounded, get back to our centered and be grounded with who we are, because we are part of nature. We just forgot that we are. And I believe that if people start to do that on a daily basis, they will see some improvement and will question why they are using this technology. That to me is the very first step.
You mentioned in one of your emails that we exchanged over the last few weeks in preparation for INSPINAR that you were getting your daily dose of vitamin N, vitamin nature. I found that concept extremely uplifting, and I have talked about that to some of my own patients in my pediatric endocrinology clinic. So thank you for introducing a new vitamin that I never knew of before.
Yeah, well, vitamin N, nature, was coined by Richard Louv, who created the Children in Nature Network movement. Now, when I met Richard years ago, I think it was 15 years ago, I believe, during the first conference, I told him about digital detox. But the same thing remained. Like any other leaders that I had a chance to meet in person, they understand what they're doing, but they don't know what else is done that looks similar to what they're doing. So that's why we're all working against each other's. So when I spoke to Richard, I said, look, digital detox can be done in a very cool and easy way. And now we're talking about Shirin-yoku. That's it's a new thing, embrace hugging trees in a forest. But to me, it's just pure common sense. You don't need to, sorry, I'm going to offend some people here, but you don't need to take a course to understand how you can relate to a tree. There should not be any conversation of any kind. It should be you and in the presence of the mystery. And that's it. That's it. All of what we do here is to reconnect. Reconnection is important. You're doing that on your side, and I do that on my own. And if we let people really understand the benefit of it, then they can tap into the vitamin N for nature, vitamin C, the ocean, SEA, and we can go on with any types of labels. But the whole idea is to go back to nature.
You mentioned two concepts. The first one is wellness by design. And the second one is the typical concept of detox. So when I hear about detox in context of, let's say, hotels or hospitality industry, the typical images that come to my mind are fancy spas, very expensive, rose petals strewn all over the place, fragrances, sounds of flowing water, relaxing music. Do you think that is truly detoxifying? If not, what is your idea of detox or wellness by design, and how are you planning to bring that idea to the hospitality industry, Eric?
Well, I tell you what, for the last few years, I had a chance to sit for myself. I had a chance to travel in many countries and visit all of the fancy hotel and wellness resorts who said that they had wellness programs. But what I found, and it's not just one of them, but many of them, is that, yes, they do have it. It looked really nice on their website. You know, it's pretty strong and solid. But when it comes to the reality of it, it is just a thing. So to give you an example, and I'm not going to give names, but there is some hotels here in Portugal who say we have a digital detox programs for our clients. So minus an extra 200 or 300 euros per night, you will have access to the package. And the package is limited to a small sleeping bag for the phone, to a scrub, to a massage, to a juice. So you look at it for a moment, you're like, am I going to pay 200 euros more for something that I can do on my own? Because honest to God, there's no reason for people to spend that much money, even though the Global Wellness Institute was saying that people are willing to spend over 120% more for real, meaningful, and authentic wellness experiences. But the problem is the same. When you look at digital detox and the way hoteliers approach it, they think it's just another way to attract people, and they don't want to dive deeper. So they stay at the surface, and the clients cannot get any real specific results from that, right? It's just a thing.
You also talk about, instead of hotels or hospitals, the idea of hospital. I might not be saying it right. So tell us more about that, Eric. How do you think that hotels are the future of wellness?
Well, I'll be honest with you. If I was to elaborate every single details from that, we would be sitting together for the next 2 hours. So I'll make it short and sweet. Look, you're a doctor, you know the situation. What we see now coming from this digital habitat and this sedentary lifestyle is far from being healthy. And it's creating consequences that are, for most of it, irreversible. However, if all hotels start to think, you know, but that's the toughest part for that, is to think outside of the virtual box and put themselves in the shoes of their clients to say, why are they coming here? They're coming here because they need to rest. Rest from what? Rest from the burden of their online obligations. I think that would pretty much cover a big part of what traveling is about nowadays. Now, when they enter the hotel, right, they are looking for something, but oftentimes the hotelier don't know what they're looking for, and they themselves, the guests, don't know either. And I say to hoteliers, you don't have to guess what your guests are looking for. You just need to feel the pulse like you do when you meet your clients. Why is it so different? And because now we have an epidemic that concerns pretty much everyone, you know, when it comes to mental health, as an example, well, it's a bonus for hoteliers to increase, improve, or make some changes with their environment so that clients can recognize themselves in it. So, you know, when I say that the hotel of tomorrow is the hospital of the future, it means that the cross-pollination between wellness and hospitality is the next step for these guys to achieve what they're looking for. And in this case, DigiPass was meant to, and it's exactly what I'm doing at the moment, to provide a wellness by design that really reflect what guests are looking for without knowing it. So the whole idea is to see how we can use intangible assets and turn it into something more tangible. So instead of being just a kind of spa, yoga, gym type of experience, which I'm sorry, but it's very impersonal and it doesn't lead to anything. And I spoke to hundreds of clients and hoteliers, so I know what I'm talking about, is to say, we're going to create something that is meant to reflect what you guys are looking for. And the hybrid is to say, okay, we have the best Wi-Fi connection, so no problem with that. But we also have places for you to chill out, take some time off from it. And only when the option will be available, that clients will understand the benefit of it. You see where I'm going with that? Because there's a list of hotels that says, oh, we have a digital detox package. But I looked at all of them. I went either in person or I looked at them. There's nothing new under the sun. It's always the same thing. And clients are not stupid. They are looking for something, but it's not available at the moment. That's the problem.
So, Eric, clients are going on vacations or looking to go to fancy hotels or luxury resorts to escape from their online obligations, because online obligations can sometimes be very overwhelming, and at a subconscious level, they might be affecting our mental health. Once the luxury vacation or the detox or the wellness experience is over, then the clients come back to their real life. How can they escape the online world? Can they escape the online world?
Well, I tell you what, when it comes to DigiPause, the idea is this, is to introduce something new in the life of clients that are looking to improve their well-being. We have to be clear about that. And during that time, they can see it because they're using the space to experience something different in their life, taking the time off from what is causing them to be unhappy, unhealthy, and getting to understand new ways to do that. When clients leave, the idea is to have an aftercare program that will continue their journey until they come back again. And that itself is a bonus for both sides. The hotelier, because it creates brand loyalty, and the client, because they don't have to struggle and say, where am I going next? They know in advance where they're going next. And then better than that, hoteliers can even ask for more money and it won't be a problem. Because if clients know that they're going to get what they're looking for, they will pay for it, right? Look, you're in the US, how much does it cost if someone is sick and need to be rushed to the hospital? It costs a fortune.
It does.
It costs a fortune. That's why many resorts like Miraval, as an example, in Canyon Ranch, who knew in advance what was going on, said, okay, you come to our place, you're going to pay that much money. It's not going to be a Holiday Inn, €100, breakfast included. Well, it's crap, but they still have a breakfast there. It's the real amount of money, but during that time, you're going to be seen by specialists and we're going to look at you. We're going to really take time with you. I love that. I don't know about you, but if I was to go somewhere, I would rather spend that kind of money because I know it's going to fit with what I'm looking for compared to other hotels that I might have access to a nice beach and so on, but it is also very, impersonal. And at the moment, the problem is this, Nidil. Clients are looking for places to interact with others. It is proven that loneliness is killing people. It is proven that loneliness is worse than the smoking 5 packs of cigarettes per day. And before we were saying, oh, sitting is the new smoking. Now it's being lonely for too long is the issue. People are carrying heavy traumas on their shoulders. And by the way, if people don't remember, 3 years or so ago, we were in this thing called a pandemic because people have a short memory. It seemed that we're back to the new normal, but it does affect people, right? It affects their way to enjoy life, trust others. And for any places, it's a bonus because if they can redirect their effort towards clients that are looking for that, guess what? They're gonna do good.
I agree with you 100%, Eric, when you say humans need humans to connect. My favorite thing about that is I often quote, humans need humans to thrive, not chatbots.
Yeah, that's it. Because, chatbots, that's the problem is because when we say, oh, we're going to set up a time online so you won't feel alone anymore. No, because there's a great book from Gary Small, I believe, the neuroscientist. I don't know if you read that one, iBrain. And he was talking about the quality of the interaction when you face someone meet someone in person, how the brain process that compared to when we are on the screen. I mean, no offense, it's great to see someone on the screen, but if it becomes a normal, then the same normal will eventually become another form of ailments that can easily cause people some serious health issues.
I often get told by people that this is normal, this is how we socialize, this is how we stay connected, what is wrong with all of this? And I have to start from the very basics of that conversation, where I try to explain that what we think is our new normal, it actually is something else. It is our brains, our psyche, trying to pretend that loneliness does not exist. We are trying to mask the loneliness and pretend that we have 1,000 friends on Facebook or 1,000,000 followers on Instagram, which is equivalent to our self-worth. But when we look deep inside, we find where the gap is. We find loneliness. It's time for digital wellness coaches to get together and bring that loneliness up to the surface, bring the people out of their online world so that they can actually experience what it is like to be truly connected with other human beings, what it is like to put the art of eye contact back into picture, the art of small talk in elevators, the art of making conversation with real life people. And that brings so much joy, Eric. It produces a hormone called serotonin, which then minimizes our need for dopamine that we readily get from our devices. So that brings me to the next question. We talked about life technology balance. We talked about hotels and how they might play a big role in wellness industry going forward. Do you think this is a utopic vision? This is limited to just a certain group of people who can afford this luxury? Or do you think it can be accessible to anyone and under any circumstances in the digital age?
Well, I'll tell you this, I saw it in my own life, and I saw it in the life of many others. There are some people that are convinced that addiction is good for them. In fact, when I did my internship, because I don't know if I said that, but I did a series of internship in hospitals and therapeutic communities and places where we look after people with heavy addictions and mental health issues. And that was an eye-opener, because what I found is that for them, the problem is the solution and not the opposite. Now, if you start to really get that part, the problem is the solution and not the opposite. It means that even if you come with the best arguments ever, it's up to them to make the decision. So my clientele of choice, the one who come to me, are people that are concerned about their time management. They are concerned about their energy. They are concerned about the impact of technology on their brain. In short, it is a group of people who wants to honor their mind, their body, and their soul. That's the temple, right? We talked about it before. So unfortunately, the majority will be drawn to this new sensation called metaverse. I mean, we're going to lose lots of folks for years to come, okay? I have to say it directly. Some people say, what are you talking about? I'm here. No, you're not there. You checked out already. That's why I say to hoteliers, I'm going to make you laugh. When I say to hoteliers that when clients come in, if the first thing they ask is the Wi-Fi code, well, they already checked out. And they don't get it at the moment. But I said, do you understand that if you lose their attention, it's over? They can be with you for 3, 4, 5 days. They're not going to do anything. You may have tons of good activities or services for them. They're not there. They checked out. So like I said, that's why the people that are concerned about our work, and I will encourage even wellness coach to focus on that, are the ones that recognize that first and foremost, they have a problem, recognize that they're powerless against the problem, and are open to solutions. And the solution is not you and I. No, we're limited. The solution is to bring them back to nature, because that's where we're coming from. We forgot that, did we? So anything that I do with DigiPause, even if it's to run a laughter yoga session, because I'm a laughter yoga teacher, or go on a bike trip. I'm a bike tour guy. It doesn't matter. What matter is the end results. And the end results is for people to understand that, my gosh, I never really understood how disconnected I was. So that's why when I do a session of any kind with any kind of public, they are blown away. People are blown away, Nidil. They're shocked. They say, how come that thing was so powerful, so transformative? And I'm like, well, guess what? Look at where we are. We are outside. We're pretty much like on the beach, barefoot, connected with others. There's no phone involved here. You can't because you're busy with your hands, and you know. So of course, that itself is the transformation that we're looking for. But if we try to sell it on a online program, we're very limited. So we need to create this kind of hybrid between the two, right? And that's the problem now, because we're overwhelmed by so much information that even if we buy the best program ever, are we really going to put it in practice? And if we do so, we cannot expect instant results unless we put it in practice in our own life.
And you have actually pioneered some of these programs in real life yourself. You started with the National Day of Unplugging, which is now the Global Day of Unplugging.
Yeah.
And you pioneered the Digital Wellness Day of India. So tell us more about those, Eric, and where do you see taking the lead in those programs and spreading the message all over the world with those programs?
Yeah, well, I'll say this to you. When I created the first National Day of Unplugging in Canada, I never thought it would be such a pain in the butt, because I went from one place to another to give a presentation and explain the benefit and la. But every time people would say yes and no. Yes, it's so important. So I would get a series of likes, but that doesn't pay the bill, by the way. And the other no was, but we have other things that are more important. So I was fighting against other types of cause, such as global warming. And at the end, I never won. So people are like, we're much more concerned about global warming or the fast food industry, because there were lots of vegans who were kind of ready to take the world with this idea that we all need to stop eating meat. No, I'm not here to make any stories, but the point is, I was trying really hard to connect with people and explain them that it was an important thing for their mental health. So in Canada, it was very difficult. However, when I went to India, oh my gosh, it's incredible the amount of feedback that I got, very positive one, coming from people who said, we so much need that. So for me, it was a piece of cake to get people, you know, in India, right? I was able to get 50 people just like that, set up a meeting, and within an hour, I had a date, I had the logo, I had the program done. Let's do it. It was very easy. So that's why when I was in India, I was able to create different programs. I never had any issues. But when I came back to Canada or even in America, not the same at all. There were lots of negation. And in fact, people were trying to do the opposite, which is to create more programs online. And I was like, how does it make sense? How can we reproduce the idea of the National Day of Unplugging online? Something is missing.
We cannot solve the problem of technology with more technology. And I know you're bringing the Global Day of Unplugging, the Unplug Collaborative to your home country. Here in Nashville, Tennessee, I'm proud because we have now associated with Unplug Collaborative, and
Yes, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, I'm working on making Nashville an official site for Unplugged Village, and we'll be participating in the Global Day of Unplugging in March of 2024. So what does Global Day of Unplugging or Unplug Collaborative look like for you in Portugal?
Well, you know, I had a chance to talk to Claudia, as you did, and I love her energy. I love her drive. And as I said to Claudia, my want is to make the Global Day of Unplugging inclusive to anyone under any circumstance. And that's my goal for this year, is to be the director in Portugal so that I can address this issue directly into places that could benefit from it and let them take the lead. So it's not just about me anymore, but about people that will recognize the value to integrate this global day inside their own little ecosystem. And furthermore, with Claudia, we are under discussion to set up a pilot project in hotels so that clients can really put it to the test. You know, what does it mean to be unplugged for an hour or a day? Because the goal overall is just to raise awareness, Nidil. It's not to say you're not allowed to use your phone for the next. What's that about? Now, who are we to do that? And honest to God, when I look at people who are creating those kind of retreats, I'm like, yeah, but what's next? You know, nowadays you can be in a cave for 5 days, blindfolded, because we were told that it's good for you. It's trendy now. Oh, if you want to reset your mind or your brain, you sit in a cave for 5 days, blindfolded. And I'm like, yeah, but what's next after? Because that itself can just trigger some traumas, and you're alone on your own. You see, that's not very friendly. It's far from being supportive. And to me, it doesn't go the distance. So when we talk about digital wellness, the idea is to say, okay, how can we implement a new daily habits so that it will stay with us for years to come? And then we can provide that to our family, our employers. You know, that's how we're going to expand it. And that's how it's going to turn viral.
When you have the pilot project in Portugal all set up and ready to go, let me know, Eric, because I will be the first one to book my flight to Portugal and experience that pilot project for myself and my family.
Yay! Yeah, let's do that. I love the idea.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for being on INSPINAR today. Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you for bringing fantastic energy and creating such uplifting mood on the episode today. Thank you, everyone, for listening in today. Let's reconnect with what truly matters. Let's reconnect with the real world. Let's reconnect with health, joy, and efficiency. Let's reclaim our time and attention. Let's ungrip devices and grip life. I will see you next time.